So I got myself up, ready to go, and GoPro's there on the wing, happy days, it's doing its thing. Anyway, pumping away, and for whatever reason, nothing spectacular, just ended up stalling and falling in backwards. Board zooms off, smacks into the GoPro mount. I felt it, didn't think much of it, it's hit the GoPro mount, it's happened before. Get myself up, yeah, I can see the GoPro mount still on the wing, but as I get myself up and under the wing, you can now see the GoPro has gone. That's now on the seabed and lost. So not a spectacular crash, but just a simple one, and that snapped it off, and all I'm left with is the two lugs. So lost. So basically what I use now is I use the fly mount. Really nice bit of kit. It's adjustable, fits for different wings and stuff like that, and comes with the GoPro mount at the top that you can screw through. So when I looked at my GoPro after it had gone, well, my GoPro wasn't there, but all I had left was these two little metal lugs. They were the only thing that's left. Now, naively, I believe these metal lugs were pretty strong. I've tried to put a leash on. I've undone this little plate, I've taken it off, and I've tried to put a little leash on, but it's such a tight fit that you can't get it back on. So I was always fairly naive that this would probably be fairly bomb proof, and it was more likely that this would come off with the GoPro still on it, and this would be my flotation. So I've stuck a couple of floaties on the edge of it, and it works really well. You'll see now, this little video just shows how well it floats. The GoPro sits underneath it. These float above the water so you can see them. Obviously it doesn't go very far, but the most important thing is it doesn't sink. You can generally find it and go back, and it does come off occasionally if I take a fairly big off. It's quite rare. So here you can see, even with the GoPro Max, which is probably the heaviest camera that you'd have on, if it falls in, comes off, it does actually float above the water. You can see it. Obviously with the bright colours it's easy to locate. It does float above. That's obviously with the two floaties. Beauty is obviously when you pull the thing out, you've still got your camera. However, if your camera has actually snapped off, then you're only going to receive that and you're never going to find your camera. So that's why it's the best thing is to try and have some kind of additional attachment for your camera, so that it attaches to your... When I very first got this, I did actually put a leash, as the fly mount instructions say, is you have a leash that runs from here to your bar or one of your handles, which is fine, but it came off one day and it managed to get itself all caught around on my leashes. So I just thought that was a bad idea. So I prefer to just have that free floating if it comes off, and then I can always find it. The problem is that with a GoPro there's absolutely nowhere to put a leash. So this is your point of failure here, these two little lugs. So I didn't really want to lose another GoPro, so I investigated a way of maybe putting a leash. So I've come up with, basically they do these little cages, and there's lots of different versions of them. There's steel ones, aluminium ones, plastic ones, all sorts of ones. To be quite honest, it's a cage literally for me to be able to put a leash on. So these are a cheap Chinese thing from on eBay. I think I paid £2.95 each, so I got two of them. And you get a little leash with it as well, which is pretty colour. But the nice thing is this little thin piece of cord that you've got here can go through the edge of the cage, and now you have a means of attaching the cage to your GoPro. So what has happened is, in the past, is I've actually found that, and you can see it basically, that's the way that would end up. And you can see the last big crash I had, it snapped off one of these, and it didn't come off. It was still attached, but the GoPro itself obviously was still within. So I got away with that one. That was quite a good one to do. But you can see I have actually got a leash to the camera. So I would say, for the sake of, you know, a few quid, that is well worth it. When you consider that these are quite expensive, that's well worth it. So I've bought a couple. This one's now dead, I won't be using it anymore. I did have a little wire leash to it, but I won't be using that one now. I'll be going over to one of these little ones because they're just a little bit better. The way that I've attached this is on the fly mount. I've got a little there's a little shaft that runs through, and I've put the line through it, tied a knot, that stops it going that way. And then you can just tie your cable or your leash underneath the fly mount itself, so that will stay there. So the idea is that when it's on the wing, it basically, apologies, it looks like that. And obviously the leash, it is visible in a 360, but it's right on the bottom, so you don't really see too much of it. But the idea is if that does snap off, you are going to end up with that's going to be floating under the water, and you will find that you've still got your GoPro. So just a little tip there that might help someone else out, because you know, I've got one of these sitting on the seabed somewhere. It was annoying because they cost money, but also it was a really good day. I had some really good runs, and obviously it would have been nice to have seen what they look like. So there you go, that's my little tip for helping you with your GoPro. Obviously this is my fly mount, but I've also, as you've seen in previous videos, I've built my own ones, and it works with that as well. You just put a little hole in it and then you can attach your leash. So that's the sort of thing. It's basically a GoPro Max cage. So just a little plastic cage that fits around your GoPro, and obviously you've got the hole there, which is where your button would go, and you just put the GoPro inside the cage, and there you go. There is your GoPro with your leash. So should your actual GoPro these snap off, because these ones are plastic, there's more of a chance probably of these ones, you've still got the cage, not a problem, and you've also still got your lugs inside if you want to use your GoPro for other things. So it doesn't affect the operation at all. You can still get to the battery, you can still turn it on and off, and you can do bits you need to do. So there you go, there's your cage.